Well, I wanted to do full-fledged previews for both Night of Champions and No Surrender. Night of Champions is happening next week, and No Surrender is happening tomorrow night. Unfortunately, and I know WWE has a week until the show, but No Surrender, Night of Champions doesn't have much of a card lined up at the moment. Last month at SummerSlam, I praised them for at least having a card, a full card, and now it's just kind of like, oh, they're right back to just having 3 matches and we're the week of the show. And this pay-per-view, the gimmick of the pay-per-view is that all the titles are on the line. Knowing that in advance, shouldn't you have the title matches lined up? I mean, that should be an easy card to fill out, I would think. It's like, okay, you know this show is coming, have a plan for the IC title or the US title and the tag title going into it, but apparently they didn't, because now it's just kind of like, well, the week of the show, we're probably going to get an IC and a US and a tag title match just kind of thrown on, last minute. And, hopefully it's not, hopefully they have more than 3 matches set and it's not a whole bunch of bonus matches. But, I'm just thinking, this pay-per-view should kind of, sort of, I don't want to say book itself, but it should be easier to book than most others because you know what's going to be on it. It's alright, you just got to book title matches, right? I mean, how hard can that be? So there's not a whole lot to talk about beyond the 3 matches. I guess I could try. Dolph Ziggler versus Randy Orton is probably going to be on the card, even though they've already done it on TV like 2 or 3 times. I guess it'll be okay. I'm not really all that excited about it. Orton's matches lately have kind of bored me. Ziggler works great. I mean, Ziggler, on Raw this week when they called him the hardest working guy on the roster, that might actually be true. I think in the ring, Ziggler, there are a few guys that are better than Ziggler or that, try to give as much of an effort as Ziggler does. He really does remind me of Kurt Hennig in that aspect, among other things. Is he going to cash in the Money in the Bank at this pay-per-view? This is a question that comes up at every pay-per-view after Money in the Bank, and if there's still a guy left with the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's part of the discussion for every pay-per-view. So, and I've said it before. I've made my feelings clear. I think they should do away with the shock cash-in part of Money in the Bank. Just after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, just have the winners announce when they're going to cash it in, and then build them up to that point. Because I think it's become an excuse not to build somebody up. I mean, Ziggler hardly ever wins, and it's so annoying. It's like you want this guy to be a world champion, and yet he hardly ever wins because the mindset seems to be, oh, well, he's got the briefcase, so he's going to win the belt anyway, so why build him up with victories? And I'm like, no, you got to make us believe that he can carry that belt, and that he's like a threat to that title beyond just like, oh, hey, a 1-minute match after a beatdown type of thing. It worked for Edge the first time, and it worked for Punk the second time. But beyond that, it's just kind of like, it's become almost cliche to do that. And I wish they would just do away with it and just, use the Money in the Bank to build up a big title match like they did with One Night Stand 06. That was fine. That was great. Nothing wrong with that. But, it is what it is. But I guess that'll lead me into the World Heavyweight Championship, which Sheamus versus Alberto the Babyface Del Rio. Gosh darn, it's just so exciting because, I loved it so much the first 2 times they did it on pay-per-view. It's just stellar. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. Moving on. And there's I guess with the tag titles, they'll probably do Kofi and Truth versus the Primetime Players again. I can't really imagine anything else that they have lined up. To be honest, they've wrestled each other like 3 or 4 times, and I haven't been impressed. And that's the problem with the WWE in terms of tag matches is that there are only 2 different kinds of tag matches. One's where the faces win, and one's where the heels win, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can almost set a watch or set a stopwatch to any tag match and just hit all the beats of all the matches are virtually the same except for the finish. So that's a problem. Then we got the IC title match, which I guessed would be Ryback versus The Miz, because I thought I read somewhere that on an episode of Superstars, Ryback challenged a champion for Night of Champions. So I would think that would be the IC title. I don't really know. But I've already talked about that. It's like, Cody should have been the IC champion. They should have run with him past Mania, and, that's how they should do it. But now it's just kind of like, if they do this match, it'll just be Ryback versus a weak champion, because Miz never wins, and the IC title doesn't mean anything as a result, so, whatever. Then we got the U.S. title, which I guess they could do Santino versus Antonio Cesaro again. I don't know what they're doing with Santino and the Cobra. Are they going for... And anybody who watches SmackDown, maybe you could explain it to me, because I'm not sure. Are they doing an Al Snow and Head thing with the Cobra? Or are they actually trying to treat the Cobra as if it's alive? I don't know where... Or is this just one big sexual symbolism thing that they thought was funny? Because if you think about it, this whole thing with Oksana is just a gigantic dick joke. But yeah, I don't really know what they're going for. Are they trying to make Santino insane and have multiple personality disorder expressed through an external source, or are they actually trying to treat the Cobra as if it's actually alive? Because they've done cartoonier things than that, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I don't know. It's really weird. I'm kind of confused. Then we've got the Divas title, which will be Layla versus Caitlyn. I don't care. I haven't seen enough of Caitlyn. I've been told she's okay. But I mean, the Divas title, they put no emphasis into it, so I don't really care. Then we got the WWE title, CM Punk versus John Cena, which is by far the best match on the show. It's not as good as or interesting as the Money in the Bank match over a year ago was, but I don't understand why CM Punk needs to beat John Cena to validate himself or to become part of the upper echelon. I don't remember how Cena phrased it, but I'm thinking it's like, look, he's already beat you twice. What else does he have to do? But whatever. It's just one of those things where they're like, they say something and they expect us to buy it because they say it. I don't really have a problem with this match. I'm actually kind of hoping that Cena goes over, just to do Cena Rock at the Royal Rumble, and then Punk wins the Rumble and then faces the Rock at WrestleMania for the title where he wins. That would be the internet's wet dream right there, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think if Punk loses the title here, he'll probably win it back, and it'll be Punk and Rock at Mania, or at the Rumble, and that'll be your Rumble title match, which, I'd rather have that at Mania, but, whatever. I'm not sure who's going to win at this pay-per-view, because they could just as easily switch it back. Whatever they want to do at the Royal Rumble, they could just as easily do another switch in between then and now. So, whatever. So that's Night of Champions. Not really a whole lot to say about it, because so much of the card isn't really in place, and I don't really know what they're going to do. Hopefully they don't turn it into the bonus match show like they did. It's like, look, SummerSlam, for all the knocks I had on SummerSlam, at least it was a card that they had it set beforehand, so I knew what I was ordering. Just saying. Then we got TNA No Surrender, which is tomorrow night. And this has a couple of rushed, thrown on there type of matches, like the X Division title match, which I wish at the very least they had done a video package or something to just make it, just to highlight what happened at Destination X and Sanjay's injury and how that set up this match. Even if they're not going to have them on TV to hype it, at least do something to make us know that this match is going to happen beyond just saying, hey, here it is. It'll be a good match. I mean, Sanjay will make it really good, and Zema Ion seems at least okay. So I think the match will be really good. I guess keep the belt on Ion. I don't see any reason for him to drop it at this point, especially if Sanjay's not under contract, which is what has been reported. Knockouts title, Tara versus Miss Tessmacher. I guess that's okay. They had an okay match on Impact a couple weeks ago, and at least they have a little bit of a story going on with the whole teacher versus student thing. So it's like, all right, whatever. That's okay. What else is on here? Tag team titles. It's AJ and Christopher Daniels versus Christopher Daniels and Kazarian versus AJ and Kurt Angle, which, Slammiversary rematch, which, by the way, I have to say, it was rather cute this week on Impact how they had, all these tag teams. It's like, oh, it's adorable. You're trying to convince us that you actually have a tag team division. And, the whole Chavo and Hernandez thing, I hate those tag teams where they're like, hey, you two are the same race, so we can put you together as a tag team. And I guarantee you, I would bet money that was the thought process behind making Kofi Kingston and R-Truth a tag team. It was like, hey, you're both black. We'll throw you together. Even though your characters are nothing alike and you have nothing in common beyond your skin color, we're going to throw you together just because you're black. So, and that's kind of what they're doing here with Chavo and Hernandez. But, it's like, hey, you're both Hispanic. You can be a tag team. Whatever. It's like Gunner and Kid Catch. Hey, you're both white trash type of guys. You can be a tag team. But yeah, their tag division needs a lot of work. But yeah, I mean, AJ and Angle versus Daniels and Kaz, they had an awesome match at Slammiversary this year, and they could have another one here. You know, I don't know what they're going to do at Bound for Glory in regards to the tag titles, but yeah, you know, this will be a really good match, I would think, given who's involved. And then we got, and by the way, and I will applaud TNA, I'm glad that they don't have a world title match on the show because there's no reason to have one. The reason I say that is because, look, we know Aries is going to go into Bound for Glory as the champion, so there's no reason to even have, like, a senseless title match. It's like last year. Last year they did that three-way. It was Angle, Sting, and Anderson in a three-way. And I'm thinking, you know, we all know Angle's going to go into the big pay-per-view with the belt, so why even have this match? There's no reason for it to happen because we know what's going to happen. So I don't even see the point. Let the Bound for Glory series be the story of the pay-per-view, and let that be, and I think it will be. I think the finals of the Bound for Glory series is going to close the pay-per-view, which I think is very smart. Let that be the attraction of the pay-per-view. There's no reason to have a senseless title match. And it makes the title match at Bound for Glory even bigger because it'll be 2 months in between world title matches, and I'm completely fine with that. But it's going to be Austin Aries versus, quote-unquote, the Arm Breaker from the Aces and Eights, which could be okay if they need to have a reveal at this pay-per-view in regards to who's behind the Aces and Eights and who are some of the members. I've been told that the big guy that he brawled with on Impact, who's, quote-unquote, the Arm Breaker, was Mike Knox. I couldn't tell, but apparently they have Luke Gallows under contract too, so they need to start unmasking some of these guys and just let it be the story heading into Bound for Glory. And you know, it's fine. I think RVD and Magnus, the only interest I have for that match is that I have this sneaking suspicion that Samoa Joe's behind the Aces and Eights. But, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But something could easily happen in that match, given what happened on Impact. So if Magnus gets beat up, or even if RVD gets beat up or something, that'll probably be a clue as to who's behind the Aces and Eights, which I'll get into that now. The finals of the Bound for Glory series, which I have praised the holy hell out of the Bound for Glory series as being one of the best ideas that TNA's ever had. It's awesome. It's great. Our final four, it'll be Samoa Joe versus Jeff Hardy, Bully Ray versus James Storm, and the two winners will go on to the finals and decide who will face Austin Aries at Bound for Glory. I think that whoever wins this series is going to be the one behind the Aces and Eights. And to be honest, out of those four, the only one I don't see being behind it is Jeff Hardy. Because I think they've put him in that spot before, and it didn't really work out for obvious reasons. So I just don't see it being him. It could be, I guess, but I'm really trying to rack my brain trying to put all the clues together. It's like, could it be James Storm? Even though they've already suspected him and pointed the finger at him, could it be him who's behind it all along? Could it be Bully Ray? I don't think Bully Ray's ever been attacked by the Aces and Eights, and I think that's interesting, and I think that's why you know, he's kind of a suspect as well, especially since the way he's been acting in regards to it on Impact. But is he just a red herring to make us think that? Is it really Samoa Joe who's behind the whole thing? I'm kind of thinking Joe. But, you know, I don't really know. And I'm still guessing, like, God, who is going to face Austin Aries at Bound for Glory? I don't know. It's really, could it be James Storm? Could it be? It's going to be Storm, Bully Ray, or Samoa Joe, I would think. And whoever it is will be tied into the Aces and Eights. And hopefully that all comes out well, because they've done a really good job not only with the Bound for Glory series and keeping me guessing who's going to win the thing, but with the Aces and Eights thing, because I still don't know who's behind it. And that's a major improvement over what they did with the whole 10-10-10 they are coming thing, where I think everybody and their grandmother saw it coming a mile away that it was going to be Hogan and Bischoff. So, you know, props for the mystery angle, you know, props to that, but hopefully the payoff is good, because I think the ultimate reveal needs to be really good. I know a lot of people were thinking Jeff Jarrett was going to be tied into it somehow, but I don't know if that ship has sailed, or if... I guess they could still do that, I don't know, but... I have so many questions regarding it, and I'm actually just interested in checking out the pay-per-view just to see how they resolve everything, and how... you know, just to see who wins the Bound for Glory series and what kind of intrigue happens there. So it'll be interesting to see how everything goes down. I think the Bound for Glory series itself is enough of an attraction to make me want to see this pay-per-view. And I'll certainly be interested. I will be checking it out tomorrow night. And hopefully TNA continues this kind of role that they're on heading into Bound for Glory, because they've got some good things in place right now. And hopefully they don't screw it up, and hopefully everything just continues trucking along and they end up doing okay. But that's pretty much all I've got now. I'll be back. I guess I'll talk about No Surrender next week, and hopefully if something else comes up with Night of Champions, I'll be able to comment on that as well, leading into that pay-per-view. But yeah, that's all I got for now, and y'all enjoy your weekend.